Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby! Welcome back, everyone, and I hope everything is well with you. I'm your host, KJ, and now I'm going to continue on for Andor Season 2, only on Disney Plus by Star Wars. This is Episode 3 spoiler review. If you have not seen this amazing season or Season 1 yet, please pause this. But before you go and watch it on the Disney Plus, please hit this thumbs up button on here. This would help my YouTube channel grow and get new followers, new fans, and more interaction. And let me know when you come back and you listen to this spoiler review or any of my spoiler reviews for this season 2 of Andor by Star Wars. Let me know in the comments below what you think about each and one an episode and how you feel where Star Wars is at today. Thank you guys. So again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. Episode 3 starts off with Captain doing some type of repairs, trying to figure out how to drive this ship that he stole from the Empire as he's floating in outer space, as he's trying to get back to where most of his familiar allies and friends are waiting for are desperately waiting for him, and they're very nervous because they can't hear from him, and it took a little bit longer. And so a lot of people are worried about what is going to happen, as are in some of this stuff. It just seems so like on the edge. It seems like it's do or die moment. This is I don't know, like a fundamental thing, but the thing that I get out of it is there's a plan they're trying to achieve, and they're trying to do it secretly, and a lot of these people just don't have enough resource or ammo or the backup to take on the Empire, especially with all those stormtroopers. As you see in this episode, that there's an inspection, and it's not good. They're on the list. That means it puts them in much more danger, and they're going to show up the next day. And in this episode, the wedding is about to start as we get a mother and daughter moment. And she was pretty much telling her daughter, like, you can back out of this. You don't have to do this type of conversation. But the daughter, I feel like she was raised to be ready for this. So she's very eager and always wanted to do this. Even though, if you remember, I believe episode 1, or maybe it was 2, she was kind of upset that the person she's going to marry wasn't trying to hold her hand or looking at her. But, has this, obviously Star Wars has that medieval kings and queens type format. And it definitely, throughout this whole episode, this felt like a Games of Thrones wedding, like the Red Wedding in that show. It felt like that, but in Star Wars. And in a little bit, the mom, she was like started to drink, and she was starting to dance. Like, if you ever seen the show Euphoria, that's what it felt like when she was dancing and drinking. Like, she was worried. She was like, shit's about to go down. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, it got nuts. And, again, it felt like that. Also in this episode, we see Deidre and Cyril get a visit from his mother-in-law. And, she's the typical mother-in-law. She's very bossy. And, I hope I said his name right. Cyril? Syrill? He's a mama's boy, and he can't take criticism from her very well. But it was kind of goofy, and this is where Star Wars has always been kind of goofy with the comedy and a little bit of silliness. But Deidre puts her mother-in-law in her place and say, "Hey, listen, this is what's gonna go down. This is gonna happen. But I promise you, you're gonna have this much time to spend with him, and it's only gonna be enough that I can handle, that he can handle." And she, she let her mother-in-law that she's gonna be a good wife and she's gonna take care of her husband, and that's how that was going down. And I loved it. It was goofy. And then again, we go back to the bride and the groom, and they are given gifts. As we see, Lutheran is still spying and waiting for Cassin, and of course, they're dealing with this guy who has some feelings for Mon, and she finally gets like a meeting that they're going to meet up, and they need to get a number. And I'm assuming it's the price, like of money, of their version of money, or maybe a password. I'm still not sure yet, and I'm trying to catch all of it, but I'm trying. They need something from him, but I also see that he is legitly, since, he's somewhat getting a divorce from his wife, his true feelings for Mon is really showing, and I think that Ma's going to have to seduce him or something. I think that's what's going to happen, or give him the puppy dog look. I mean, this is Disney. I don't know. If you watch Daredevil Born Again, they didn't hold back on a lot of blood, so I wouldn't imagine that them not holding back on this either. But again, I could be wrong. But the point I'm trying to make is I feel like Mon, M-O-N, she's going to have to seduce him or play with his feelings and batterize and let him think that he has a shot to get in between her. I don't know, but it's one of those things that I feel like she's going to have to do one of those. But I think she's trying not to avoid it because he may be like, well, give me this and give me some boom boom, and I'll work it out. But we don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. But she's freaking out. That's why she started drinking, and she's dancing and having a, euphoria moment at this time. But then, they have to figure out what they're going to do, again. And now the Feerics are hoping at, like, the ship. They see the ship fly by, and they're hoping it's Cassin, as they're planning to pretty much run away at night at the moment because they're running out of ideas. But, I was hoping, I'm glad it happened, but we got to see BTEMA. He's a droid. And I was glad that he reunited with Cassin, and I was hoping for that because, that's his buddy. Cassin is his friend. Cassin is Bee's friend. B-E-E, like a bee, bumblebee. And, again, the soldiers show up, and it's a big shootout because things are going sideways. One of the guys turned on them and set them up, and, Binks, man, she had to fight one of this creepy Imperial from the Empire guy who was gonna be creepily seduce her and try to get his way with her, and they had a huge fight. I think they said she killed him, but I think she just knocked him out. But boy, what a fight. I mean, she scrapped, but luckily she was safe from harm. And that's when more blastings from the stormtroopers. But luckily, Cassin, Bix, and Will finally reunited, and they escaped on the ship that he stole. What an intense moment. Those characters were from season 1. And I was glad they reunited. I'm glad that, Cassin gets to see his little droid B. And I like this episode because, this is a soap opera in the Star Wars universe. Like, this is very drama, very dramatic, very intense. Because, like I said, Binks was in a situation where this one guy who was like a soldier, like a general, or close to it, and he was going to have his way with her without consent. That's what they were implying, I should say. And he tried, but Binks fought back, and she smacked him with everything. And she didn't give up. She's fight. She can fight. She can throw hands, and she knows how to take a tool. and swing at that guy, swing at him, knocked him out. I mean, he started screaming because he knew he couldn't beat her, which is sad. But this is crazy. This is intense. The wedding was intense. I thought something was gonna go down. That's why I said it was like a red wedding, but it still gives me that vibes. But who we get 4, 5, and 6. So those episodes that the shoe can drop on that wedding like something bad. But we know Casson, they're back. He flew away. Things are good. Like, well, not good. They're not safe, but now that the stormtroopers and the Empire are aware that things have been stolen, parts have been missing, ships have been taken away, now they're on the radar. Now they gotta play it smooth, and we don't know what the rest of the people are gonna do. Who's living this field of nothing and farming and stuff? Like, they're farmers pretty much, and who knows? Like, are they safe? Because they're gonna bring back more stormtroopers, and they're gonna start blasting with laser guns, bang bang. Like, it's just nuts. But I loved it. I loved how the story was going with this, and if you watch all this in order, like episode 1, 2, and 3, in one shot, you'll appreciate this more, and you'll see everything kind of makes sense. But I'm just reviewing this based off of each episode individually. So I would say episode 3 is a little bit better than episode 1 and 2, because in a soap opera dramatic way, the pace did pick up just enough where there was a lot of excitement going on. There was a lot of twists and turns. You didn't know if everything was going to work out. You didn't know if somebody was going to live or not. And we lost one guy. I mean, but he sacrificed himself. And now this is very important. Like, this is because this all leads up to the Star Wars movie, Rogue One. And this is all important. This is very important. This is what they need to do. And now I don't think there's going to be much action packed, but I think the dialogue and the dramatic of this story, of this plot for season 2 is going to definitely get more interesting, and it's definitely going to keep you paying attention word for word, dialogue to dialogue, I would assume, and again, I liked it for that reason. That's what, to me, this episode did. Again, the way the performance the actors and actresses did, as far as dialogue, delivering the emotion and the feeling, the facial reactions were so good. It felt so real. And this is an odd thing. I would never imagine Star Wars having like that soap opera format to it in a Star Wars universe, but this is really good, and I really enjoyed it. Like, they really, at least they leaned more into it and really highlighted this, so you can really get the best out of it for what they're trying to achieve in this particular episode. The thing I didn't like about this is that I think it doesn't feel Star Wars like at times. And I understand there's some things that were just... The problem is, to me, is what I still don't like is sometimes they go too long with explaining something. It's like, I think the audience has gotten the point. Why are you going more detailed? And why did you keep going back to it? It's like, example that I can bring up for this episode is waiting for Casson. I think I would have lessened it. We got the point that they're worried. I think they should have focused more on what their backup plan, as they were coming up with a backup plan or escape route from the wedding to where all the farmers were at. I think they should have focused more on that part. But that's, to me, it was just too much detail, and I felt like somebody who'd watch this the first time would have got the point within 3 minutes of it. But that's just me. And again, these are long episodes. Like, I think they're like 50 minutes. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. But they're longer episodes. They're not a typical television show type format. But again, that's my only thing is, even though I like this episode, but I still, again, I felt the dryness. I see it was kind of lacklustering a little bit. And maybe it's not a big deal. It's not something I would nitpick. But to me, they're not focusing more on what the importance on each episode. But again, if you watch episodes 1 through 3, like, because they only have, as I'm recording this, there's only 3 episodes, but there will be episode 4, 5, and 6. But if you watch them all in one shot, it all makes sense and you appreciate it. But it does have, again, the one thing I want to always praise and give flowers to in this show is even when the dialogue, they do make sure you pay attention. They make sure they say things to keep you focused and say, ooh, what's going to happen? Ooh, that's going to happen. I can't believe he or she said that. Or I can't believe they're trying to do this or that. Like, they're really good at that. I got to give them flowers on that. But again, I think that sometimes the dialogue is a little bit too dry at times and they go too long with it. But again, it's not something I'm nitpicking about, but that's my only if I had to come up with something I didn't like about it, that would be it. But other than that, I like this. I also just like the way they use the stormtroopers in this. I thought that was really cool. They felt like well, they were always goofy and they're silly, but they really felt like a police officer or a soldier, right? They were ready to go on cue, like, oh, he's out of place. Boom. They got the laser guns locked and loaded. And they're and in this scenario, the stormtroopers are supposed to be challenging because they're not Jedis. They don't whip the lightsabers and stuff. But this, to me, I like how they made this. Again, the one thing I just want to bring out is what I like too about this is they made the stormtroopers very challenging for the characters. Like, if I move, I'm dead. If I don't get out, they're going to shoot me. This is an important thing. And obviously, they're just doing their jobs. But they are a serious threat for these particular characters because they're not Jedis and etc. Or Mandalorians, to be honest with you. So, I like that. So, it tells me, like, the stormtroopers are going to be an important part through this whole season, of course. And it's really cool because I really like stormtroopers. I'm a really big fan of those particular characters. And I love the Clone Wars and I love the history of stormtroopers and what they are. And I love there's higher ranks in stormtroopers. Like, you can be somebody. Like, that's what's really cool. And you know what? I'm glad they're getting a little bit shine in this series too. So definitely enjoyed that. But other than that, if I had to give this a 1 out of 10, I'm going to give this a 7. Really good episode, but again, I just felt like sometimes the dialogue was a little bit too long, went a little bit too much in details, but again, not a big deal. Other than that, it was really good. I mean, I love the passion. I love how you see the emotions on these characters, and you can see like 2 different viewpoints. One's the good guys and the bad guys. And again, I love seeing the stormtroopers look badass in these particular scenes and very challenging to escape or defeat. So that's really cool. So yeah, this episode to me was better than episode 1 and 2. Now, when we get to episode 4 and 5, that could be different. So, but that's my review, y'all. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be up to date with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.